First and foremost, a very big warm welcome to all of you who have joined this session today. Rajiv and I are extremely stoked to have all of you join for this interesting discussion. And as every webinar, how we formally do it is to quickly introduce ourselves. And I like to do that, right? So I go by Nicholas. You can call me Nick as well. And I'm basically an evangelist for ZohoAPAC. And that means that I bring the good news to the general public in terms of product rollouts, new product features, key integrations, and things like this. And hopefully that's some of the things that we will be able to relay as part of today's discussion as well. That's in a nutshell what I do. But feel free to connect more. And I also have with me a long-time colleague whom I've known for some time. Today he joins us from India. He goes by Rajiv. So I think the best introduction are always given by the person themselves. So I'm going to hand over the time to Rajiv over here. Rajiv, whenever you're ready, please come on.
Hey, thanks for the quick intro, Nicholas. I hope my voice is clear.
Yes, you are.
So yeah, good morning, good afternoon from wherever you folks are joining. So as Nicholas said, my name is Rajiv and I head the youth education here at Zoho Sign. And I'm happy to be part of this particular session where Nicholas and I together, we will walk you through how to digitally transform the HRMS space with the Zoho applications. So back to you, Nicholas.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Rajiv. So yeah, folks, just like as we mentioned, I think we've got a pretty interesting topic here. Now, again, if you take a look at the recent news, news on tariffs are sort of all plastered over mainstream medias. And certainly that has shifted the momentum of the world. Day-to-day employees like ourselves tend to think like, the future being as a little more bleak. The sense of security when it comes to jobs seems to be a little bit more fragile than before. But again, that being said, it presents us a new set of opportunities, right? As recruiters, as HR folks, as a company, if you will, I think it's time to reset ourselves to kind of look at what we can currently revise in terms of our HR strategies right now. And again, those are some of the stuff that we want to talk about. How do we do so? By digitizing some of our processes. Not the entire HR processes today. Today, we want to focus a little bit more on just recruitment, that recruitment phase. But we will kind of show you some of the key technological integrations along the way. And I think when it comes to creating that appeal as a company, right, it is purely subjective. I mean, if you take a look at the millennials, the Gen Zs, right, these guys are very, very good at self-branding if you have the time to actually talk to them. Right, you go to LinkedIn, you see them with these really fancy, posts and these accolades and things like this. But again, can the same be said so about companies? Do we have the appeal in terms of attracting modern candidates, today's talent, to actually want to apply for a job at our workplace? So, as I mentioned, appeal is subjective, but I think by and large, right, one thing that really will stand out is, of course, technologies to digital natives like ourselves. Right, I myself am a millennial. I think what's really important to me is perhaps virtual onboarding. Do we have a remote HR space or remote HR system that's a little bit more friendly to use? Right, these are things that will stand out to us. Certainly, the angle today is technology. We will look at some demos as well, and I just want to transport us back to, the past in the 90s, and it's some time back already. But I think it's still important for us to take a look at back then when you are looking for a job. You got to look through the 7 days times, open up the classified section, and then you look through, these various job postings, right? And the funny thing is, back then, even interesting jobs don't immediately pop up. You have to literally look through the entire column itself. Information seems to be a little bit more scarce. Everything's sort of paper-based job marketing, paper-based job applications, right? Face-to-face job interviews and sort of things like this. And I think it doesn't help when all these jobs sometimes are, while they are being marketed, sometimes are also being made, more visible to internal employees first, right? So the opportunities is in the horizontal hire, that horizontal shift. Back in the past, the ball is always in the hirer's court, right? They're always looking out for top candidates who are brilliant, who bring the top qualities, great attitude. Do you have the hard skills? Do you have the right people skills? But I think in present times, the scale has sort of tipped and it's sort of balanced as well. Like candidates ourselves, applicants ourselves are able to actually pick the jobs that we really want. We have more options, right? We're in a sense more skilled. So things have changed, and there could be 101 things, as I mentioned here, that modern candidates look out for. Obviously, we know the novelty of working from home, having a work-life balance, having more inclusivity when it comes to underrepresented groups. But again, as I mentioned, all these traits, you won't probably get to see it. It's not as visible until you're actually within the company itself. And technology will give us that glimpse, because during that hire itself, as I mentioned, are things digital. How am I receiving the offer letters? How am I getting it signed? How are conversations, communications being conveyed? It's all technology. So probably technology, as biased as it sounds, is one of those ways that allow candidates and applicants like ourselves to get a quick glimpse and anticipate just how serious you are in future proving yourselves in terms of digitizing your processes. And I think a quick look through at this, specifically when it concerns recruitment, is contract turnaround time. Is it fast? Is it secure? Are the information relayed accurate, right? And then how do I get that signed and reverted back to the company itself? So all these matters. Even mobile first approach, right? Can I actually pull up that document from my mobile, get myself authenticated perhaps through SingPass, which against the application sits within your mobile, right? So the end-to-end process, again, could also purely be done on mobile aspects. So that appeals to us. Now, last but not least, to end of this slide, I think what's really important is we recognize the fact that whether it's digital signings, whether it's having a online database, whether it's having other technological tools who will be able to help us facilitate this entire recruitment process, those tools should be seen as some form of a branding tool for employers, for companies, right? So we'll dive a little bit more in depth. I think right now it's time to bring on Rajiv, but I have one more slide here. So again, what we will look at today is just two common apps that we've seen in this recruitment scene, right? One is Zoho Recruit, which is an application tracking tool. You can sort of see it as a database where you bring in candidates' record, history of conversations, what are some of the key emails or key documents that have been uploaded. All those are captured as part of that database. And then you want to personalize documents, offer letters, if you will, right? Or contracts. And you want to get that signed. And again, where do we look? We look at Zoho Sign. So these are at least some of these basic digital toolkits to start with for today's session. I'm going to bring Rajiv back on.
All right. So the current challenge that I would say when it comes to paperwork, handling of paperwork, be it in the HRMS circle, is first things first, the businesses have started going global. So it means you recruit people from the other end of the world or from the other end of the region from where you operate. So when you go with the traditional pen and paper approach, the key challenge that you face is one is the redrafting the agreement again and again, sharing it with your stakeholders. If the document or the agreement is fine, you then share it with the recipient for them to sign it, and you get back the signed copy, and you have to have it stored in a secure place. So the challenges in this is one, it's really time consuming, and it's too much of a cumbersome process. The second one being, you won't have the assurance that it's the intended recipient who's actually received the document and is signing it. So there's a concern of trust and security over there. And the third one is the cost that it bears. For instance, just imagine the paper wastage and the cost that it takes for every single printout, it being couriered and having it stored in a place, ensuring that the documents aren't getting damaged in course of time. So with that being said, these businesses have started going digital, and so that's where a solution like ZohoSign comes into place. So what we do is we once the document is drafted, we make it easy for collaborators to for the stakeholders to collaborate with much ease. You could have your workflows automated, and similar to what you were saying earlier, we also have an integration with SyncPass, so you could have your recipients authenticated and verified before they access the document. Or if your agreement requires a token of advance that needs to be paid during the contract execution, you could collect both payments and signatures in the same workflow. So is that the only thing that we do? Then, no, as the name suggests, ZoSign has been helping businesses across the globe to sign, send, and manage other legally binding documents. And along with that, we also support, advanced features like bulk send, where let's say there is a contract or an NDA policy that all the new joinees in the company needs to sign in a in the individual document, rather than sending it a person by person. What you could do is you could import all the new joinees email ID and their names, have it imported in a CSV and send it out in a click, so thus saving you lots of time, rather than sending it one by one. Not just that, we also have reusable templates. So this comes in handy when there is a particular type of document, be it the onboarding document or an offer letter, or like I was saying earlier, a NDA or a policy that needs to be signed by every single new joinee. Rather than creating a new workflow every now and then when a request is needed, you could have that saved as a template and reuse it whenever you see it fit. And we also have a form-based signing called sign forms, where you share the signing link and for let's say someone is attending the interview, you need to sign an NDA for the interviewers. You could have a sign form set up. They could scan the QR, open it in their mobile device, and sign the documents. And not just that, we also offer our integrations for all the Zoho applications. And if you are someone who's using something apart from the Zoho ecosystem, we also offer our own APIs and webhooks, with which people have been integrating Zoho Sign's e-signature functionalities within their application. So, like I was saying earlier, these are some of the popular features in ZoSign that's being that will be really useful in the HRMS front. So, for instance, if you take witness signing, for example, so let's assume you have your organization follows a process where in the offer acceptance letter, once the candidate has signed the letter, you need a witness to sign saying that yes, it is him who signed it. So you could have the witness signing enabled over there. Or let's say you are from the HRMS, you are from the HR department of your organization, but you need to have a finer role within the organization, as in you want to have a particular sub team whose only role is to have the document drafted but not send it out for signatures. You could have a custom profile setup, and you could create a workflow in such way as well. And as Nicholas was saying earlier, we offer our integration with SyncPass specifically for the Singapore government. And not just that, we have integrated several other trust service providers across the globe. For instance, if you take India, we offer Aadhaar eSign and eMudra based eKYC services. And if you take the United States, we have something called the knowledge based authentication. And if you're someone from the EU region, we have InfoCert, EIDEZ, Eurotrust, and several others as well. So yeah, since in the current world everything has been going digital and people want everything at their fingertips in their phone. So when you take sign all the recruit application that you're going to see the later point of time, both of these applications are available across all native mobile applications. So that means even this particular integration works through this, with your mobile device, and you could sign documents or manage documents on your go. uh, when it comes to compliance, it's imperative that every single digital signature is compliant across the various e-signature laws spread across the globe. So, for instance, we are compliant under the PIPD Act in Canada, the eSign Act in United States, the eIDAS in European Union, the Information Technology Act of 2000 in India, and the Electronic Transaction Act in Singapore, Australia, and other Southeast Asian countries. So these are the widespread of applications with which ZoSign readily integrates. So it could be, our famous flagship CRM product, the Zoho CRM, or the Zoho Recruit that we're gonna see, the Zoho People, the Zoho Finance Suite. Uh, Zoho Sign offers its extension readily available for all these applications. And not just that, we also offer our application We also offer integration with other popular Microsoft applications like Microsoft 365, Microsoft Teams, or if you are using some other CRM like HubSpot or vTiger or Pipedrive, we also offer our integrations for those CRM applications as well. So what I'll quickly do is I'll just leave the screen for a couple of seconds for you to just go through the list of applications that we integrate with. Okay. So Zoho Sign is something that could be used across several departments and sub departments. It's not that we confine our product only with the HRMS front. So if your organization is something that primarily deals with the sales orders or sales agreements, you could use it over there as well. Or if you're someone from the product management, if there are any release management that's happening and you need to get some document signed, you could use sign over there as well. So in short, whenever or wherever there is a paperwork and a signature involved, you could have Zoho Sign implemented in that particular region. So with that said, let me just pass over the session back to Nicholas, and he will walk us through how the Recruit integration with Zoho Sign will help the HRMS front. So back to you, Nicholas.
So as Rajiv has went through Zoho Sign, now we are going to talk about the main database itself, where we're going to draw all these candidates' information from, specifically the types of job that they have applied. How do we track the entire process as well? And it's none other than Zoho Recruit over here. And I want to show you today's demo because, again, the narration and the narrative of today is that how do we create that appeal? Get your candidates in, get them qualified, and then finally, in terms of securing, you probably want to end it off with a digital signature or a signed offer letter. All right, so to get started with, in Zoho Recruit, we're going to go ahead and create a job. This is generally the flow. We want to market it. We want to publish it online. We want to capture this key data of candidates and the key applications. We show you how to review it, of course, a more condensed version, and then finally launching assessment online, scheduling an interview, selecting your hires. But again, as I mentioned, all these are sort of like a zoom out view. And between the relationships of Zoho Recruit as well as Zoho Sign, certainly there are more going on in depth. All right. And this is, again, the general flow. And pretty self-explanatory. You have the candidates join Zoho Recruit, or rather being added to Zoho Recruit. And then you want to create an offer letter that's personalized. You send it through Sign's extension. You pull up the templates. You input the details. You personalize it. But as I mentioned sort of earlier on in the couple of slides, is that as we are sending this offer letter, just imagine if that's manual. All right, that's where the breaking point is. That's where the critical drop-off point is. Sometimes you never hear back from candidates, and God knows whatever reasons, but let technology not be the one. All right, and I repeat, let technology not be the one reason for this, or the lack of technology be the one reason for this. Ideally, what we want to show you is like a full seamless flow today, okay? And again, for us to really follow today's example, if you will, I think I have to make it clear that there are a couple of prerequisites that you have to have. You either got to have a Zoho Recruit subscription, again, because you need the database, and then you have to have a signed subscription, again, because you need to send document for signing. Makes sense. But again, if you're on Zoho One, you will have access to both enterprise version of these two apps and services. And what you got to do is to quickly go in and enable and set up the extensions real quick. So the flow here, as I mentioned, I'm not going to go through all again. You will see the end-to-end process. And essentially what I'm going to do now is to toggle over to my application tracking tool, otherwise known as Zoho Recruit. And we mentioned about digital first employer branding, and what that means is that we need to create this job posting and put it out there and to market it. And in today's, in the interest of today's discussion, as well as the interest of time, what I'm going to do is to open up a hire for a sales executive. That's what we are looking out for as a real estate company. So instead of creating one from scratch, I'm just going to clone this. And to really help us track today's demo a little bit better, let me just go ahead and put this as demo. I'll put the hiring manager as myself. So essentially where I'm at is where the entire process will sort of end off. And again, you can come in here to fill out more information such as description, requirements, benefits, which will all essentially be communicated on the main publish page itself. Again, there's this little Zakya feature. If you've been with Zoho for long enough, this is Zoho's very own AI assistant. And basically the function here is to help us craft the description and the various contents going in. Again, saves you a ton of time. But as I mentioned, I want to go ahead and publish this. I'm not going to do this on job boards, but just know this can be published on job boards, important job boards across the globes, across the regions in APAC as well. And what we have here is career site, which is our very own media, our own page, is our own landing page. And that's what I want to do. So let's go ahead and publish this real quick. You would see various options here, even assessments that we have built. And again, depending on your recruitment or rather your hiring phases and steps, you would want the assessments either be made there and then upon the point of application, or perhaps later on, again, based on your preference, based on how your hiring pattern is. For me, I want it to be given from the get-go. And I have a sales hire questionnaire here, a really well done one. And once we publish that, your job posting goes right onto your career page. And I'm going to show you real quick. Okay. And these are various links that you can again copy paste and get it, pasted and send to the candidate itself. Again, where you're going to set up the career page is under the setup option. Go under career website, go to career site, you set up page. You can even create a candidate application form, which I've already done so and embedded onto the website itself. And you get to see that real quick over here. So I have just toggled over to my candidate's view, the candidate's profile. And let's assume the candidate name is Mervin, an experienced sales folk, right, who have tons of experience in IT sales. Now he's transitioned over to real estate sales. He's gotten all the certifications. They've worked previously at a small firm. Now he's joining us as a bigger firm. And that's the nutshell, that's some context. Coming back to the career page, this is sort of how things looks like. Okay, again, with all those job postings that we've done. And okay, probably because I published that, I haven't quite refreshed this. Let me just refresh and it should come on. There you go. First in the list. All right. And as Mervin want to apply for sales SDR role, perhaps an executive role. And those options, those descriptions and content that we put in earlier on are already displayed as part of key information. What we won't see in the 90s already sort of here. And I'm going to have Mervin over here submit a resume. Let's see if I have a resume. So this is how the resume looks like. Everything's created using Canva. These days, we're not just tech savvy, right, or digitally savvy. We are also, in a sense, design acumen-wise, sort of there. So Canva is being used to really beautify your resume. And what Mervin sees here is that his resume, while in PDF format, in a picture version, just in A4, with all those information squeezed in, are all being passed into these mandatory fields over here. And again, he has obviously the option to come and fill things up. All key information are already captured. So nothing major over here. So let's just maybe clean things up. Okay, so experiences, education, work experiences are more important information. Okay, so these are more important information that has to be captured, including the PDF itself. And upon submission, likely what you will see is a application form that we have launched early on. And again, that capturing of information is super seamless, as you can tell. And again, it streamlines that first point of interaction for your applicant. No redundant field, no redundant form. Okay, and I'm going to just go ahead and just put in some information over here. Actually, okay, in the interest of time, as I mentioned, I'm not going to put in real responses for reasons that, again, as I mentioned, these are proper Q&As that I've done up, which is detrimental for a demo because we want things to be fast. But I'm going to just send the assessment as Mervin, and Mervin gets that pop-up. And right in his email, he probably even received a successful application note, or rather email in his inbox. So again, I'm going to toggle back to the recruiter's end, and coming back into the recruiter's Zoho Recruit view, again, the homepage looks like this. In every Zoho application, you always be redirected to a homepage where you see a couple of dashboards. But we have this leader chat box over here, and it's being powered by Zoho Click. And the reason why we're receiving this push notification is that I've already set up a workflow automation in Zoho Recruit that when there's a new applicant, it will prompt the channel to actually look into it. And this channel is part of Adams, the recruiter, who we are seeing right now. So Adam naturally gets that invite to look into the record. Under the candidate record, obviously, all key information are already part of this, right? Essential particulars, job experiences, education, even the resume itself, answer assessment. Probably Adam, as a recruiter, can even come in and put a note before he contextually hand this over to Nicholas as the hirer. So the options that we have here is many, right? But the candidate module and record should really be seen as a module where we nest all important information about that candidate itself. To accurately track the entire hiring process, the keyword here is contextually. We want to do that sort of tracking in applications. All right? And why is because one candidate can perhaps 1 or 2 applications with a company. Today is applying for sales, perhaps tomorrow is applying for project manager, and you want to be able to really tightly and contextually follow across these various applications, tag to that one candidate. Now, in this case, it's sales, of course. So we're under the application module. Again, you see likely the same set of information. As a recruiter, you can even go ahead and schedule an interview over here, whether you want it online or you want it virtual, right? You can pick your assessment, which you can basically run during the session itself and to gather your own inputs. And then you finally hit send where it goes to your hiring manager. And things like this can all sort of be done. Now, I'm even going to go ahead and just show you how to input a review so that when the hirer picks things up, he's able to contextually browse through this very context-rich data. And the idea here is context. How do we get hirer as well as recruiter to work together? You know? So I will pick a general assessment form, very simple one, with some questions. So bear with me, I'm just going to browse things through. Again, all these questions are more pointed towards EQ stuff and behavioral and things like this. You can even put comments over here. What's your expectation regarding salary? Nothing too overwhelming. Good expectation. Good fit, perhaps. Right? Probably it's not something that you would say. After more thorough thoughts, you have something better, right? So you can even put in application status over here again to indicate that this has been qualified. And just put the ending note, overall good fit. Company, please qualify further. Something like this, all right? So that Nicholas as a hirer will be able to pick it up and see it right away. And again, what you get to also do is to even send an email to the hiring manager. All right, in which there are a couple of templated emails where you can do things in 1 to 2 minutes time, right? Subject line, please evaluate further, something like this, right? And you put in a message over here and you hit send, and finally the hiring manager will get that notification in his own ATS system. So assuming things are sort of done and being, qualified from the application module, I'm just going to head over to Nicholas's view. Back to this, which was the last view page earlier on. We were in the setup page. And again, he also likely will get the view record option. But I'm just going to go through the application real quick over here and quickly just take a look at all the various inputs that my recruiter have already input and handed over to me. All right, so I get a very good understanding of this candidate over here already. Now, what I like here is even the hiring pipeline. And again, that's the purpose of doing everything from within the application module. Because again, you want to be able to update these various pipeline accordingly. What has been done? Has an interview been scheduled, right? Has an offer letter been sent, etc. So again, as a hiring manager, I can even schedule another round of interview, right? But in this case, let's just go ahead and just sort of show you something new, right? Something that's more relevant to today's discussion. Earlier, we've shown how to look through and look for information. All information, important ones are really part of this. So I want to show you finally if we are happy with Mervyn here, right? We want to send an offer letter. How do we get it started? I think the very first step that we should start with is to go to setup and to set up your Zoho Sign extension, okay? And you go to setup page, you go to marketplace, you're going to go here to search for Zoho Sign. All right, and this says here Zoho Sign for Zoho Recruit. And I want you to hit that, which gives you several different options here. It gives you a very nice description. and install. And again, likely because I've already installed this, so you won't see like the full end-to-end setup. There you go. But it will require you to agree to some terms and conditions. I think Rajiv later on can actually come on to talk about this installation. But this is a critical step. You have to get it installed first. And I'm going to head back to Zoho Recruit over here and back to the application module to look for Mervin, where I'm going to go ahead and generate an offer letter. So you see this three dot icon over here, we hit generate. And the template itself is already seated in Zoho Recruit. And I'm going to send him an offer, not a contract, but an offer first for employment. This I'm going to go ahead with e-signature. And again, all these key informations that sits in all these fields will then be shown in the document itself. So it's important that we clean it up real quick and even put the expected join dates, which I will just pick a random date over here. And I like to give this an expiry, right? Because you want some sense of urgency. So I'll show you the preview and you see the completed merge document where all these key information are already captured as part of that. All right, so there you go. It's a permanent job. You're required to join us by this date. The compensation amount is as such, but again, you will see fields not being completed because we haven't initiated the signing yet. So let's show you how things looks like in Zoho Recruit. Coming in, let's just leave a note maybe to Mervin. Let's say something like, congratulations in being selected. To confirm that you are agreeable. I know this is probably not how things sounds like, but I'll just put it like this, right? With the offer, please sign on wherever. Go. Yeah, something like this, all right? And I'm not going to hit send first because, again, there are fields that I want to be able to pull in. You would see that this would launch a Zoho Sign document form, which, again, by the way, all these details are no longer needed to be filled in by you one by one, but all you need to do is come in and select the right profile here because you want this to be signed by Mervin. Now, if you have extra signer, which you'll see later on, you have to select the profile accordingly and then drag the field over. So I am going to have the signature field here, which can be resized because sometimes people sign it big. And I will have the candidate's full name, which again can be pretty lengthy. And the date itself, we want it to be the sign date, not just any random date. So I'm not going to go with date options. I would go with the sign date options. And that will, again, as I mentioned, contextually pick up the date of document signed. Now, once this is done, I'm going to go ahead and hit send. Okay. And there you go. You receive this pop-up, right? That it has been successfully created, and it will close off that view. Now I'm back in Mervin's view. I'm going to go into his inbox here. Give this a refresh, and it should pop up right away. So there you go. You see the earlier message. Okay, Mervin to sign. Assuming he's behind the computer, he can also do this on mobile as well. Okay. Now, the standard SOP, or rather the standard expected action, is that we always have to agree to the terms and condition by electronic record and signature disclosure. That we agree to that condition before we can actually hit sign. So let's go ahead and just agree with this. Now is the time for us to put in the signature. And this is system generated, right? You can have something that generate a somewhat human-like signature over here. My personal preference is if you always have a Wacom pad, you can even draw if you're on your mobile, all the more better. Let's do something like this, okay? Sorry, I'm very particular. And there you go. The signature is already being signed here. All right. With the candidate's name already being captured, date as well. And again, as I mentioned, there are two options. You can sign it with SyncPass, which the expected action is that you have to first authenticate yourself before you can sign, because you want to know whether it has been legitimately signed by the actual candidate himself. To keep the process short, I'll show you how we sign by sign. Hit that button. Let's sign. It's just as simple as that. And you get the email to me options over here, which I think if you give it a couple of minutes, it will actually come into Mervin's email. Not as of now, but even as a hirer, you will receive two sets of documents. You will receive the signed document in black and white. You will receive the certificate for sign. So everything is sort of captured. There's no way out of this. So Again, one way to be able to track whether your candidate has actually signed it under the application module is you can go to hiring pipeline. The offer that has been made and the offer that has been accepted will be automatically updated. Okay, so it's as simple as this. You can even go under the Zoho Sign document. Once you've got the extension set up, you will see this view. This is the document that has been created today. All right, and you will even get to see the total documents that have been signed. Right, recipient document has been signed. You go down, there's two sets. One is uncompleted, one is the completed version. So you have proof in black and white that this has already been done. So ladies and gentlemen, this is one way where we can actually get documents signed. Now I want to show you another method of signing document through mail merge, a much preferred method of mine, where you can even combine a very specific document that you've customized. Again, like what I said, with this data that sits within this record. So to do that, there are some documents, you basically go to mail merge here and then you merge it, right? But before we do so, there's some fields over here that I want to actually show you that are hidden. But because of the layout rules that I've set, based on certain value that under application status, once it's marked as offer plan, it will show those fields. So I'll show you, I'll go back to hiring pipeline and reopen that offer again. Okay, to show hidden segment in application module, something like this, and we update it. Okay, and we're going to come back to overview. Obviously, I think we might need to refresh over here. So let's refresh this. And you would see these fields. Again, the proposed start date. So I am going to quickly edit this before I go into the mail merge document. Let's do the proposed start date. All right. Again, we're going to pick the month of, oops, my bad. All right, base salary, let's just put 5.7 for example, right? And we hit save. So all this data and information are being part of this record. Now, I want to go ahead and quickly send this for mail merge sign. And again, you can have 101 templates, right? You can have a document that has been planned for sales offer. You could be planned for maybe a marketing guy or project management guy or developer guy, whatever your case may be. But I have something planned for sales, and I'll show you how to combine some of this. Let's just take a look at the first two bolded ones, right? So essentially, these are fields that sits within the application module. So the first part is a module, second part are essentially fields. And we are essentially pulling that into the documents over here, fully populated. And you see the more important fields over here, which is the signature field. And to set that up, you have to go to fields. Under signer fields, you have to set up two different signer profiles, or what they call it signer list. Signer A will be Nicholas, right? You select that profile, you pull the signature field over, you pull the sign date over, bam, that's done. And then you go over to signer B, you do the same. Okay, so that's one way to set up the documentation, which I've already done so in the interest of time. And to send this as a mail merge document where it combines the data, you have to go back to the automate option over here and select the output option, where I'm essentially going to merge this together and send it for a sign collection. Okay, and I'll hit run merge. Again, make sure the particulars are filled up. Again, this is not pointed just to Mervyn. Hi, all, please sign this document accordingly, right? Something like this. You can even give a document name, put in attachment, which we will not for now, and hit send for collection. And you see how powerful the entire signing process is. Again, you want everything to be trackable, because that's obviously the upside of digital. Whether the merge has been done, whether it's a success, whether the offer letter has been opened, are all being indicated over here. You can refresh as much as you want, but the mail merge will probably take some time. And we will see whether it actually pops up in the inbox of Nicholas. Okay? Not yet. Let's see. It will probably take some time to come in, and the flow is as such that it has to go to Nicholas first. Nicholas will get it signed. Once Nicholas has signed it, it will go to Mervyn. Okay? Merging processes typically take some time. Okay? You can even use the links to track, but there you go. The email finally comes in, which, to be honest, doesn't take long, you know. I don't think it worked out patient at all. So let's proceed to sign the document. Again, I have to click the agree option. And as I mentioned here, over here, everything is sort of done very neatly and nicely. You're displaying that you have some sort of a legal maturity because you're doing things the legal way, proper way as well. And I think the keyword here is ETA, right? Electronic Transaction Act. This is compliant to it. So that's the beauty of using this tool. So let's go ahead and sign this. And because the system recognizes that I'm a usual signer or frequent signer, it's taken out my signature over here. And then Mervin's signature will be required later on. So let's hit sign. Okay. We can never go to Mervin's end. Quickly sign this. I'm going to do it very quickly. Okay. Let's draw another of Mervin's signature that looks like a mountain. But anyway, let's sign this, and there you go. Right, you get the options of emailing this to yourself. And again, as we mentioned, the main way to really track this is that you can even go to your Zoho Sign documents. You can essentially track the entire process over here. Now, another way that I'd like to show you how we can sign and track is to go to Zoho Sign directly. Okay, under the documents that you have sent, obviously you see two, right? Because we have sent one earlier version through the general offer letter option, and this is through the mail merge option, which have already been signed. So obviously you see 3 stages being marked, but in the event where it's done halfway, you will see it being tracked accordingly in real time, whether it's been viewed, whether it's been opened and signed. So the various option over here, completion certificates, you want to get a copy of that, you can get it and retrieve it from here. Email document as well, you want it to go straight to your inbox. So these are things that can generally be done, and that's the beauty of it. Again, as I mentioned, demonstrating legal maturity is one of the things that us as HR folks would very much need to exude or to exhibit. And without dragging out more of this demo, there are other ways that we can even sign this. I want to show you very quickly, just to quickly end things off. We can even sign things by going to the candidates module itself, where this time around, the template of the document is being built into Zoho Sign. Okay, it's a customized template. We're not mail merging it. We're picking up this signed template document. Let's take an offer letter. There you go, because everything has been templated, right? So even the description, even the email that goes in would sort of be based on template as well. Again, can be customized and personalized later on, not a big issue. Yeah, but let's just assume that's Mervin. I'm gonna go ahead and hit next. Now, this is things gets a little bit more hands-on because you ideally need to be able to pull in the fields accordingly, right? So you can pretty much put in fields that are pre-filled by myself. For example, I want to bring a text field that says full-time job of a sales guy. All right, something like this. I'll just show you a couple of examples and I'll leave it as that. Again, you can resize these. If you feel that it blocks certain information early on, do not worry. You can drag and drop. Everything is drag and droppable. It can be resized, right? You want to put in a date option as well. When do you need this to be joined by, right? Pick the date, select the value, so on and forth. And I'm just going to speed things through. More importantly is to select the right profile and then to have your signature populated. So again, I want this to be preview. So I don't need Nicholas to sign it later on. Everything is already preview. And the option is that the system recognizes this. It recognizes my email. It recognizes my name. Let's go ahead and pick my full name. Right, even title itself are already part of the Zoho system. And I'm just going to make sure that it's shown and signed it. There you go. So signed it is being put. Oops. Now you get the idea. We can essentially resize this. Okay, I'm just going to move on. So this is where we will need Mervin's information. Again, selecting the right profile certainly will help. We're going to put in Mervin's full name, employee's signature, where we have him sign, same old way. Maybe full name as well, even the sign date. And then we hit send. Right, just as simple as that. So again, ladies and gentlemen, these are some of the ways in which we can sign. The various options to do so, the tracking mode is still the same. You can either track it from Zoho Recruit, or preferably you can track it through Zoho Sign as well. All right. So I am just going to head back to my presentation over here and just kind of end off with some important notes, right? I think it's important for us as modern companies and companies existing in today's context to be able to leverage a modern mindset of today's candidate or today's talent, right? We're going to move with times. Signing doesn't have to feel like it's back in the 80s, 90s. I'm not saying those are bad. You know, some people argue that 90s is the best years, but then there's some stuff that still needs to be improved, right? That's why technology exists. And we have to move with technology. And I think when it comes to branding itself, which is the main crux of today's message, it isn't just limited to sales or marketing. It isn't defined by just them itself. It's not just about customer experience, but also your employee's experience. Before they even become an employee, how do you give them that sneak peek as a candidate? So all that it stems from you improving yourself, moving to smarter HR tech, moving to smarter recruitment technology. It's probably the first step that we all have to take. So I want to thank you for your time. We are opening the floor to questions. We have the expert Rajiv over here who will be able to answer everything signed. Zoho Recruit questions. To some extent, I'll be able to also help you with that. So I'm going to bring on Rajiv again.